Hi, Ginger. This is Ryan Romeo from Outcry.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's nice weather outside. It's finally, starting to look like spring. It should be.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You never know with Detroit. We came through in April last year, and it was like an inch of snow on the ground.
Yeah, we can't call it yet. We still could have snow.
Yeah.
We don't want to jinx it though.
We're on the opposite. We're in Phoenix, so
Nice dry heat.
we've had spring the last 2 months.
Oh man. Well, now that you've rubbed that in, the interview is over. Well, I'm so glad to talk to you.
We pay for it later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad to talk to you. This Outcry tour is so cool. I love having like all these incredible, like amped up worship bands, like all in one concert.
Yeah.
So how did you put this together?
Me and my friend Shane Quick, we had been doing some work with worship artists, and I had actually been doing graphic design for David Crowder, and did some work for Carrie Job, and we met because of that. And at that time, he said, I'm thinking of starting this worship conference called Outcry. What do you think? And we talked for like an hour and a half on the phone. And over the years, it took almost 5 years of us kind of praying and talking to one another. And at the end of those 5 years, all of a sudden, Outcry became a tour, and it had never become a tour before. And we had Hillsong United that wanted to jump on the tour, and we thought, well, maybe this is the time that we could start Outcry. So when we did, we sent invites basically to anybody that we knew and said, hey, would you want to come out?
Awesome.
And that first year, we had Carrie Job and Passion and Hillsong United and Bethel and Jesus Culture and Lauren Daigle and all these people that joined us, and we were so surprised. But really, the heart behind Outcry is our love for the church. We really, and I think that's the thing that God kind of put his stamp on. For us, we said we want this tour to be about the power of the local church.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you can help empower the church, they're more enabled to lead their flock. They're more enabled to encourage each other and have more tools and be more encouraged in the spirit to, like, whatever their church's missions are, they can carry them out, and they go back and lead worship too, with a bigger spirit. I tell you, I love who you have on there. Bethel Music. I love Corey Asbury's new song "Reckless Love."
It's great.
Been playing it. I've been playing it. It's so awesome. But we've been playing Mosaic's new song too, but you got Elevation Worship, and you have Christian Kane, and am I missing somebody? I am Vertical Worship.
Vertical, yeah.
So
exactly.
So
I'm excited about this year. It's going to be so good. And like you were saying, it kind of empowers the church, and that's what we want. It's almost kind of self-deprecating, because I stand up on stage and I say tonight is going to be great, but this isn't the end all be all of ministry. What you guys are doing in your local church, in your area, that's the real big thing. And tonight's a celebration. It's a beautiful night, but for me, I want some of the encouragement from us to be poured out into them and saying, you guys are a big deal, even if you're not on a big stage,
And the Outcry Tour, where do they go to find out more tour date information?
Outcrytour.com is the place to find out all of our tour dates.
Awesome.
And on social media.
And so this led to a book, or did the book come first?
No, it led to the book. After the first year, we went out, we had over 120,000 people attend, and it was just one of those things. It felt so big, but it felt so underground too. It was like nobody really knew what was going on with it. And a publisher came to us and said, would you want to write a book? And I had never really thought about writing a book before, but I thought, we have been talking about this thing for 5 years. I could probably write a book about it. So I dove in, and I did kind of how we do the tour normally. We reach out to a bunch of different people, have them pour into it. So that's what we did with the book. Reached out to a bunch of artists that I had relationship with, and said, hey, could you write a little section of the book about the power of the church in your life? And so we had a lot of contributors, from David Crowder to Jen Johnson and Pat Barrett from House Fires, and Carrie Job, she wrote the intro for me. And so, yeah, it was really great. It was an honor to write the book. But the book it's about the power of the church. It's in an age where everyone says the church is dying or in decline, or we're fighting with each other over this or that. It really reminds you of the power of the local church and the power of each church holding down their corner of the world for Jesus. So that really is what it's about.
And who is kind of the audience that you would say would be interested in a book like this? Like who would best kind of benefit from it?
I would say anybody that's involved in church at all, from staff to lay people that just attend church. It really is just a reminder of the amazing movement that we're a part of, and it's easy to forget it, especially when you've been going to a church for a long time and it feels real familiar and it feels real old and doesn't feel real exciting. And this is one of those books that will remind you, no, what you're doing really does matter, whether you're volunteering or you're on staff, kind of anybody in between that.
Well, because it's an entire body,
Yep.
The little finger, the big toe, the head, wherever it's at, everybody's a part of it. And, I worked in the church nursery when my kids were little, and I said one time to one of my friends in the nursery, I said, well, I really, because all of my kids being little, I said, I can't really do anything. All I can do is work in the nursery. And she said, that's a big ministry. And she said, not to mention being a mom, but
yes.
I was like, I never thought about it. And she said, well, if you didn't help out in the nursery, then the parents who are leading Bible study and, leading or directing choir and all the things that they're doing, they wouldn't be able to do it. They can't take their kids with them. And, so every
my wife does children's ministry. So
oh, yeah.
I completely connect with that. It's sometimes it can feel so thankless, but it's really one of those things when you understand what you're a part of, it gets a lot easier,
I challenge anybody just to stay in there one day and you'll appreciate every nursery worker. Stay one service in there.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a jungle gym nightmare sometimes, but it's fun. I mean, if you're a mom, but there is no small piece of service in the church, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Every part holds up the other.
And that's why I love to be able to stand in front of a stage with so many people, 10,000 people or 5,000 people in front of me, and say, this is not the end-all be-all of ministry. It really isn't. And I've been on the road a lot, and at some point it doesn't feel special anymore. It feels very normal. And you realize when you get out on the road that, my job, I really do believe, is to take whatever excitement is coming in toward Outcry and really push it back onto the people, so that when they leave, they feel empowered and encouraged and ready to do ministry in their area with everything they've got.
And so is Outcry coming back again next year? Are we already in progress?
We are coming back. Yes,
awesome.
We're coming back we've got a couple of dates in Michigan coming through in April.
Yeah, it's so great because it's easy for me to remember. It's 4/18/18. So
there you go. 4/18/18.
Yes. You'll be here in Detroit. So if you need suggestions for next year, I mean, you've already had so many of the great worship bands out there. I mean, it's kind of hard to figure, but definitely.
There's still some out there that we haven't had on, and there's a few that we're like, oh man, that'd be so great to have them.
One of my favorites is Blue Tree. If you can get those guys, they're from Ireland, so it sounds like the dude from Lucky Charms. And every time they talk, and I always make them say the Lucky Charms line. But they lead worship at a big ticket festival up here in Michigan every year. And I'm telling you what, if you can get a crowd of 10,000 worked up like they can, they really do. They are so encouraging, and you just want to like get excited every time they're on stage. So that's
I love
somebody who
that.
really
Yeah,
sticks out in my
I'll have to
mind.
look into them for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
and
for
look
sure.
at their music. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you were on the show. We can't wait. So everybody go to outcrytour.com for more information and find out the cities in Detroit it's 41818 here in Detroit, but wherever you're at, you can look at it and find your local thing because we're here in Georgia and Detroit, so I know you're going to be in like the Alabama area too. So find the closest one. Yeah, find the closest one and drive. It's worth it. You get all these worship bands together all at one time. You got to be encouraged no matter what your part in the church is. Even if you don't have an official position, everybody has an official position by God in the church. So that's a reason to go and look. How do they find out more about your book to get the book?
We have a website set up at outcrybook.com, but it's also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and kind of anywhere where you can get books like that. So.
And it's simply called Outcry by Ryan Romero, correct?
Romeo, yes.
Romeo. Romero.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm up here in Michigan. We have a lot of Italians here, so I think it normally comes out. But Romeo,
not a lot in Phoenix either. Yeah, Romeo.
That's a lot easier to actually pronounce. So, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you next month, and we look forward to next year. Keep Outcry going, man.
Thank you, Ginger. I appreciate it.